I'm your host, Donna Cates, and each week we'll dive into powerful stories, expert strategies, and practical tools to help you take charge of your financial future. Whether you're planning for retirement, navigating a divorce, or simply looking to build your wealth with confidence, this is your space to grow, learn, and thrive. Let's get started with today's podcast. Well, I would love to introduce everybody to Missy Blackmer, and the name of her company is Unboxed Grace Coaching. So, welcome today, Missy. I would love for you to take about 90 seconds to give us an overview of what you do and why you got into it.
Awesome. Well, thank you for having me, Donna. So I am a licensed mental health counselor and a certified life coach. And what got me into this is kind of a long story. A lot of times counselors will tell you it started honestly in our childhood because things that have happened to us or that we've experienced and what we've grown and healed through brings us to this place where we want to help other people. I actually didn't start my career as a counselor. I was in management. I have an undergrad in management, so that's where I started. And then I felt a pull to work with kids, high school kids and college kids. And so I went to school and I got my school counseling degree and worked in that for 5 years. Then the school I worked in closed. And I was pregnant with baby number 2. And I was like, oh my goodness, now what am I going to do? And so it really opened a door for me to go back to school for a year. And I went and finished a year of education that gave me my marriage and family therapy license. And from there, I've grown. I have worked in community mental health. For those of you that don't know what that means we work with those that have the highest need. And so I did that for almost 10 years and it burned me out. So I took a couple of years and did non-therapy type work while seeing just a few clients on the side. And Unboxed Grace Counseling was born. And then alongside of it, Unboxed Grace Coaching. Since 2018, I've been known online as the Mental Health Chick. You can still find me on Instagram and Facebook. We're hoping for podcast and YouTube to be coming out in 2025. We are excited from the coaching side to be working with women, organizations, companies, teams, and churches. How can we help you grow into spaces where you understand who you are, what your mission is, how do you get there? How can we help you get there and to live that out so that you're living a life that is purposeful, or your organization is walking in its purpose and not getting distracted by all of the busyness that comes.
So much information to dissect there. So you number one, you kind of got started because of those childhood experiences, wanting to work with older kids, and then going to working in the schools as a counselor. That was probably interesting, and then moving in that transition period into your own therapist role, and then adding on to that the coaching.
Yes.
Wow, that's awesome. And it sounds like it's all with the purpose of healing and transforming and living the best life.
Absolutely.
That's what I heard when you shared with me. That's awesome. So, and I kind of get a sense of your experience and how it contributed to you deciding to do the work that you do. But tell me, what do you see as the biggest problem in your industry right now, and how are you working to solve that?
The coaching and counseling niches that I'm sitting in have their own unique problems. You know, the insurance is an issue over on the counseling side. It's very difficult to work with insurance companies and to get contracts and to make sure they pay you fairly. On the coaching side, it's all about marketing and getting your face out there and creating traction in the world that you want to work in.
And with that cute title that you have, the what did you say it was, the mental health chick?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, that's awesome. I love that.
Thank you.
So what do you say? What's going to actually make it a better place for you in that industry?
As the mental health chick, is that what you're asking? So the best thing about the mental health chick is it's not just me. Even the podcast that will come out is me and my business partner, Emily. And the best part that comes out of it for us, we're mamas. We want to like run our own schedule. We don't want to have to work 40, 50, 60 hours a week to provide for our families. So that's a big joy for us that we're looking forward to as we continue to add these diverse streams of income. But honestly, the biggest payback is the change and the growth that we see in our clients. If we don't see that coming through, the vision kind of dies. And so Emily and I are very committed to going out there. Now we have different niches. I like working with high achieving women and other therapists and social workers. She's working on a program that helps people with relationships and forgiveness. And when you put us together, we have so much to talk about, and we can't wait to bring some of that to the world.
I'm sure. So what makes you unique in the way that you help others, whether that's through the counseling practice or your coaching practice?
Well, I think it's in the title of our company, Unboxed Grace. When you come into Unboxed Grace, whether it be virtually or into our office, we want you to feel like it is safe. There is no judgment here. We want to love you right where you're at. And I think sometimes when you get a coach or a counselor, they decide where you're supposed to go, what you need to heal. And honestly, what you need to heal is already inside you. We're here to help you unbox that and to do it with grace and kindness so that it's your journey, not ours. And that's our gift.
I love that. And the name says it all, unboxing. Just unboxing. We deal with what we need to deal with and heal from that. And then the world is our oyster.
Absolutely. And everybody needs to unbox this idea of grace and kindness for ourselves. There's so much healing in that. I don't care if you're a millionaire or if you're struggling to buy groceries this week. It doesn't matter. We all have things that we both need to unbox and get rid of, but also unbox that kindness for ourselves.
Love that. So tell me, where do you see the industry? And I'm going to focus specifically on coaching because coaching is a fairly new, business. So tell me, where do you see that coaching industry going in the next 5 to 10 years, and how are you staying on top of it?
The coaching industry is like a multi-billion-dollar industry worldwide. I think that with coaching, what we know is that only the top, I think it's something like 10% or maybe even lower, 5% actually make enough money to like live off of coaching. And so what I've learned about coaching is you need multiple lines of revenue if you really want to make it work. I see the industry continuing to grow and to diversify. One of the scary things as a therapist the coaching world brings is it's not very regulated. And so for me, inside that line of business, what we do is still going to be very structured, and we're going to make sure we're ethical and that we have the right training and that we're helping people in positive ways.
Interesting. So we see it's an unregulated industry, which means there's a lot of room for weird stuff. So you're using that counseling background and the ethics and integrity that come along with that training to ensure that you're delivering the best for everyone.
Absolutely.
Yes. Awesome. Okay.
We have somebody right now training as a youth coach, and I'm having her go through training. Like, we're not going to just say, okay, here's Tamar. She can help you with your kids. We want to make sure that there's some mental health training underneath there.
Right.
So that she feels confident as a coach.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, and I will tell you, I relate to what you're describing there because anybody can be a mediator. Literally anybody could go hang out a shingle that says, I'm a mediator. But to be a trained mediator and having the credentials to do it is totally different, right?
Absolutely, totally different. And some of the life coach training out there is pretty bland, and I don't think probably moves people along very far. And some of it's really good. So as therapists, we don't necessarily need more training to be a coach. But if you're not a therapist, if you don't already have training under your belt, you really should be going through credentialed training, ideally through ICF, the International Coaching Federation. They have the best, most solid credentialing, if you will.
Right.
So now my coach, Tamar, she's actually going through Light University, which is a Christian coaching agency, to get some of her training.
Okay. A unique niche there.
Yes.
Awesome. Okay, let me shift gears a little bit in the conversation here. I would love for you, Missy, to share with us what your biggest failure or challenge is that you've faced to this point in your life, whether that's personal or professional, and how that shaped the way you're doing business today.
Absolutely. The biggest, I don't know if I would call it a failure, but I would call it a crash. I crashed and burned. I was a leader in what was a smaller company, and we got bought out by a bigger company. And it was mental health. I was a clinical director. I burnt out really hard, really fast. And I ended up having to switch roles, not by choice. I ended up switching roles. And I learned so much. That role, I told you I sat in a role that wasn't very counseling driven for about a year and a half. What I learned in that time through my own therapy, going to therapy, what I learned about myself is that I don't fit well in bureaucratic systems. I'm kind of that squeaky wheel, and it wasn't overly, welcomed. And what I learned is I'm a good squeaky wheel, but I'm not meant to stay there.
And I get that. I relate to what you're saying because I think we're probably both direct people.
We are.
I think we have that in common. And the reality is some people don't want the directness. They don't really want the answer. And that's a big discernment on our part, is who can handle the real answer.
Absolutely. And what I learned, doing 10 years in different organizations where I would kind of rise to the top, but then I would really say, here are the things that need to be different, and it wasn't received. I get very stressed by that because I see a problem. I want to fix it. Right. And so I really felt called to go out on my own eventually. And I started on my coaching journey a couple of years ago as well, learning about the coaching industry and what can I do to diversify my lines of business and revenue so that I can walk in my purpose. I can't very well help others walk in their purpose if I'm not walking in mine.
Wow. Yeah.
And so it took some hard work and realizing that I don't have to save every program I worked in, right? I was trying to level up everything, and I was trying to do it in my own power. And what I personally learned is to walk in my purpose, I needed to be walking in God's purpose. And for me, it's helping people boots on the ground in my community and in my online community.
Cool. And that gives you another uniqueness there. So awesome. All right. I'm going to ask you another unique question here. If you could have lunch with any one person, whether they're living or deceased, who would it be and why?
That is a good question. The easiest answer for me would just be Jesus. He has the best teachings on the planet. Feed me your wisdom would be an amazing lunch.
So to just be there and absorb whatever he had to share.
Yeah.
I think that's awesome. And I have to tell you, with the podcast interviews that I'm doing, you're not the first person to claim that opportunity. So
awesome.
And the reality is that we really can have that conversation now, even though we may not be physically here, but it's just being in the right listening space. Would you agree?
In the flesh. Yeah.
Awesome.
It would be amazing.
Well, tell me, I know you mentioned earlier, but tell us again, how's the best way for people to reach out to you, connect with you if they want to work with you? Yeah. Give us all your stuff.
Absolutely. So if you want to follow me on social media, you can just look up The Mental Health Chick. You can also go to my website, unboxedgracecoaching.com, and there is a contact form. You can also sign up and subscribe. And through that contact form, you can request a meeting with me. I believe my Calendly link is also out there on my website. So I would love to connect with you. I offer free 15 to 30 minutes. Let's get online. Let's talk about what you want your purpose to be and how I can help you get there.
Well, it's so awesome that you offer that consultation so people can get to know you and you them and figure out whether it makes
Yeah.
sense to work together. That's so awesome.
Yeah,
Well, thank you
absolutely.
so much for being our guest today, Missy. I certainly appreciate it.
Oh, thank you, Donna. It was so good to see you.
Yes, you too. Thank you. I hope today's conversation left you feeling inspired, informed, and ready to take the next step in your financial journey. Remember, building wealth isn't just about money, it's also about creating a life that aligns with your goals and values. If you found this episode valuable, please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with the women in your life who deserve financial empowerment too. Until next time, stay confident, stay empowered, and keep building the life you desire.